What if I told you that in this world there are certain types of guys who girls just simply do not like? And what if you were doing things that made you one of these men without even knowing it? First up, at number 1 is the inexperienced man. Something that you guys have to understand is that life is not always fair. And this is especially true if you're not the guy who was born with incredible genetics and tons of testosterone coursing through your body. Every single day you have guys all around the world who weren't born with the best genetics, but they are able to outcompete other guys who were born with far better genetics. How does one guy who has poor genetics beat out the guys who were born with a natural gift? And the answer to this question is experience. By knowing when and how to compete, many guys are able to adapt and position themselves better than the competition who have better genetics. And this applies for pretty much any guy. The truth is that the shy, quiet guy act will only work for so long before it eventually runs out of steam. And what happens to many guys is that for a variety of reasons, they don't end up getting much experience with females when they are young, and this lack of experience carries over into adulthood. And most girls just can't see themselves with men who have no experience because they don't want to be the ones who have to take the lead. Now, honestly, there are a ton of guys out there who can't hold a conversation with a girl, and they are in desperate need of a way to fix this problem. So if you are the guy who has little to no experience, the best way to fix this problem, obviously, is to simply outwork the guys who have better genetics and who are better at communicating than you. And by doing this, you are able to adapt and better position yourself to be a winner and not a loser. So if you lack experience, just get out there, take some risks, and get it done. Now next up is number 2, and this one is going to hit home for a lot of guys. And this is what you would call the bitter man. Now, this type of guy tends to be older, but there are also many younger guys who have already become bitter. Think about this. Imagine if from a young age, most of your interactions with females were negative. Maybe you had older sisters who beat you up all the time, and at the same time, for whatever reason, girls in elementary and middle school didn't treat you well. Maybe this continued all the way into high school, and now you're in your 20s, and as a result of all of this, you feel incredibly bitter towards pretty much all women. Now, guys who feel this way get like this because women have turned them down for so long that they have basically given up. And many guys don't even realize that they've given up. You see, girls have a very strong ability to read between the lines, and they can tell pretty easily when a guy is bitter towards women in general. And the moment that they see this behavior, they are going to run away as fast as they can. So if you're the guy who is bitter because he has been turned down for so long, then it's time to get over it and try again. Holding on to grudges such as being angry towards all females because you were turned down all the time when you were younger is not a masculine trait, and it is something that you simply shouldn't do. By letting go of bitterness, you might be shocked to see how fast things can change for you in a positive way. Now next up, at number 3 is the needy guy, and this guy is everywhere. The needy guy might be hiding inside of you right now without you even knowing it. So neediness is basically the need for reassurance. Many needy guys are very obvious in the way that they behave, while others are much more subtle. Now, oftentimes, neediness leaks out more through our actions than it does through our words, and neediness can be for pretty much anything, but most of the time, it is simply the need for approval. Most guys don't realize that simply nodding their head constantly while talking to someone is something that can actually make them come across as needy. Imagine you're talking to a girl, and at one point in the conversation, you nod your head a few times. This is completely normal, and guys do this all the time. Now imagine when you're talking to people, you constantly nod your head at every single thing that they say the entire time that they're talking. In this case, the excessive nodding is basically your need for approval leaking through your behavior. And it's pretty much like telling the other person that you want them to like you so bad that you are going to nod your head after everything that they say. And oftentimes, it is the tiniest little signals like this that we don't even realize that we're doing as guys that makes girls not like us. Now next up is the 4th and final guy that you should never try to be, that girls avoid as much as they can, and this guy is the loser. But guess what? You might be a loser without even realizing it. In fact, a lot of guys think that they have it going on, but end up finding out later that all of those girls were looking at their friends and not them. Now, after hearing the word loser, most guys think of the guy who sits at home and plays computer games all day in his underwear. But what if this same guy was making millions of dollars while playing those video games? Would you still consider him to be a loser? All over the world, you have many guys who play in the NFL and at the highest level in professional sports. And these guys might also sit at home and play video games often. So does this still make them losers? And the answer is definitely not. The word loser is used to describe one thing, and it's a man who is not striving to reach his pinnacle or who is not trying to be the best man that he can be. So the greatest definition of a loser is a man who has given up on improving himself, improving his circumstances in life, and trying to improve the lives of other people. That is the truest definition of this word, and it is the one type of guy that you never want to be under any circumstances, and he is also the type of guy who girls simply do not like. This has been 4 types of guys that you should never try to be, and if you do find some of these traits in yourself, simply make the changes to eliminate them and adapt. And with that said, until next time, thanks for watching.